the town of Costa del Porto. Burn it! And when he comes to protect the insignificant, kill his friends.
We're sort of wrapping up our interviews here at Gamescom, and the final interview I'm doing of the whole show, quite a privilege, is Just Cause 3. I'm back with Roland here. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're sort of showing off to the public here at Gamescom, because there's a lot of people here, a lot of people want to play Just Cause 3, so what are they getting a taste of?
So we finally got to give hands-on to the public, and that was pretty exciting. You know, basically it's just been the press that have been able to play the game up until now and has been the voice of the fans. But finally we get the fans to actually try out Just Cause 3 and try out a bunch of challenges that are in the world. So they tried out a couple of destruction frenzies and some wingsuit races so they could start getting a feel for the new mechanics, and so far it's been pretty good.
I heard something about QA being here and that you were wanting people to break the game. Was that actually true?
Well, I mean, it's the sort of game that you do break. I mean, you're always trying to figure it out, right? You're trying to say, well, I bet you the devs didn't think I could do this. And so there's already that sort of game, and I was giving hints to people on like how to try to get outside of the challenges we were doing, because, you know, I know they're going to do it anyways when the game comes out. Why not have them do it now?
Yeah, and see what the results are. It's that kind of game. It's that kind of sort of exploding sandbox, I'd say.
I like it.
So, but we did get some of the story beats. You went a little bit deeper on that in the presentation. Can you tell us a little bit more about what story? We know the basics here. Rika's going home, all of that. But so more, what kind of characters you can expect and so on and so forth.
Sure, so we talked a little bit about meeting some like Tom Sheldon, who's back from the previous games, representing the agency, and Rico coming back home, and there's a little bit of a tension between him and the agency this time because he's coming to depose a dictator who really the agency doesn't really want deposed. The dictator has control over a substance called bavarium, an incredibly powerful, explosive, somewhat magnetic property, like mineral that only exists in Medici. And so the agency kind of likes their supply of it. But now when Rico comes back, this is the place where he lost his parents. This is the place where he had to escape, and then why he ended up in the agency and why he was in Just Cause 1 at San Esperito and Panau, and now he's got all these tools to blow the crap out of countries and, you know, be able to depose dictators. He's finally back to work with his old friends that he knew as a kid and finally overcome the thing that kind of started it all for him.
It is kind of a popular trope in sort of this sort of super agent, secret agent kind of thing to sort of have it. Now it's personal. This time it's personal. Now there's a different agenda. I'm sure you're playing around with those kind of things.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you gotta love it. We get a lot of inspiration from all the great shows, from I mean, all the great movies in the 1980s and the Fast and Furious movies, and you know, Tropic Thunder, and I mean, I even loved the movie recently. What was it, Kingsman, that came out? I had so much fun with it. It feels like people are rediscovering a bit of the humor that can be there when we do big action movies, and there can still be the heart. I talked a little bit about when we were sitting down together how as a kid I was inspired by quite a lot of the films that Spielberg did, especially things like Indiana Jones, where they can take such an over-the-top world and still have characters that are interesting and have soul and have interest between it. And so, I mean, not that we're Spielberg or anything, but, you know, we're trying to find a way to meet who Rico actually is. And one of the good ways to meet who someone actually is to meet their friend that knew him when they were a kid, because that person's not going to care that Rico is a giant action star. They're still going to make fun of him in the same way. And we're hopefully providing that little bit of heart that I hope it helps the franchise grow even more.
Because it is a sort of something that is a little bit difficult to pull off, sort of something as extreme as a sandbox in Just Cause, and still providing a narrative and sort of making the two sort of fit together regardless of play style. It's kind of a, you know, something that you have to go into looking for a solution.
Yeah, I mean, it was really tough. Writing humor in general, I find it one of the more difficult things, and you throw away a lot of lines. You know, there's a lot of feedback, there's a lot of like, I don't know if this is working, and we got to work with some really great actors who themselves have great comedic timing, so you know, you kind of work with them and you readjust the script and rewrite the lines so that it's a very collaborative experience to try to get those scenes that feel heartfelt but yet are still fun, and of course you get to write great one-liners all the time and hope they come across. And you know, we really hope that the marrying of humor within the story itself as well as the humor that the player makes themselves comes across.
You were talking about Bavaria there, and that we saw some sort of little mini game that involved that, some sort of Katamari Damacy tribute, if you will.
There was. I really love the Katamari games. I thought they were just so much fun, and this idea of starting with this little tiny thing and ended up like enveloping the whole world. It was a pretty brilliant idea. And playing with physics is something that Just Cause is really about, and one of our designers one day was like messing around with some of the systems, and he kind of created this magnetic property to all the rocks, the Bavarium rocks. So he made like a magnet that could attract Bavarium rocks, attached it to a vehicle with a tether, and just started driving it around and making these giant balls, and we're like, that is hilarious, we should make a challenge out of it. And so we justified it by saying, you know, you're trying to get rid of Bavarium that the general has, but really it's just a ton of fun. And we want
you need to blow it up, right?
Yeah, exactly. It has to blow up. I mean, once you throw it into this giant pit, eventually the pit will explode.
Right. And since I saw you last, the date is out there, December 1st.
It is.
Kind of last few months now to sort of get the game finished?
Yeah, I mean, it's the end. So now it's about polishing and really getting all those edges to be as smooth as possible, like working a lot on optimization and performance and making sure the game's as solid as we can make it. And it's feeling pretty good. Like, let's say December is coming up quick. And, you know, there's always that thing. It's been a lot of years working on it, and sitting there to finally let it out in the public, there's a little bit of apprehension, but I hope people really enjoy it, and it's time to let it free.
Yeah. Explosive Christmas. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Just Cause 3. Set the world on fire December 1st.